Hello, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to take part in the Zurich Enterprise Challenge. Our team has selected topic number 2, which is Robo-Canada, for this challenge. For our presentation, we'll first give an overview of the company, the methodology used for the risk assessment, our assumptions, and the globalization strategy. In the second part, we will consider the 3 questions that Zurich Insurance have provided us. As a brief introduction to the challenge, Robo-Canada is a multinational engineering company with operations spread across 25 countries. Due to the slowing growth in the core market, they are now shifting focus to Asia, for which our team will carry out strategic risk management analyses with specific focus on shortening the supply chain. To begin our risk assessment, we looked at the distribution of the various risk factors of the potential hub locations as provided by the risk room. If a particular risk factor is found to be in the 4th quartile, it is red flagged for deeper analysis. A risk factor in the 1st quartile is deemed safe. A risk factor falling in the 2nd and 3rd quartile are ranked low to medium and medium to high respectively. Thereafter, we created a risk grid which considers the risk score and grading as seen in the risk room. Nevertheless, we also have an additional parameter called relevancy to consider whether all risk parameters are to be considered relevant for our analyses. For example, credit availability is considered irrelevant for our analyses, the explanation for which follows in slide 7.
In addition to the risk room, we have also considered the volatility represented by the movement of risk. We tried to consider yearly movements to measure the standard deviation of each risk measure. However, we were unable to find the data. We also believe the movement from 2007 to 2014 is sufficient for volatility measurement, as short-term movements impacts may be smoothened. Finally, in the risk assessment methodology, we have considered the qualitative aspects as well, which is represented here. This also sufficiently explains why parameters such as credit availability, quality of labor, and epidemics is not considered relevant for the overall risk assessment. Now let's look at the assumptions. The nature of the good considers are low volume and high value. Top priority is given to speed and delivery reliability along with post-sale servicing. Local procurement is assumed minimal, with key control remaining with the headquarters. Decision parameters will be based on optimal proximity to end market and also the optimization of the supply chain. We have also reviewed the proposed strategy in light with the Ghoshal-Barrett global strategy of local responsiveness versus global integration. We believe that Robo-Canada is more close to global strategy, where standardization will be a key element and offshoring will also have cost savings. Clubbed with the Pankaj Ghemawat model of AAA triangle, we conclude that Robo-Canada is positioned in AAA strategy of aggregation and arbitrage. Herein, the dominant factor is aggregation, and some elements of arbitrage are seen in terms of benefit from unskilled labor, some advantages because of distance, hedging of political disruption against North African suppliers represented in corporate diplomacy, and other cultural adaptation.
This now brings us to the 3 challenge questions. Following the risk methodology described, we have mapped each of the countries in a spiderweb chart. For business risk, we can clearly identify China, Malaysia, and Thailand. For political and physical risk, though we note some overlap, which we will explain in question 2. We also identify China, Malaysia, and Thailand as the ones with lower comparative risk. Finally, following the risk grade score, we again identify China, Malaysia, and Thailand as the ones with the 3 countries with lowest risk. Comparing risk of UK and Canada, we know that the political and physical risk are higher for the selected 3 countries. However, there are significant improvements expected in terms of supply chain improvement, and there are also proposed mitigants to this higher perceived risk, which are described next. For qualitative analysis, we first look at the business risk in the spiderweb and identify 3 risks. For contracts, this is mitigated with no sales or purchase in the new country. Thus, the quantum of risk identified by risk room will be lower. For trading risk, though China and Thailand have higher risk, this is still lower comparatively. Finally, the burden of government regulation can also be minimized, as low trade barriers can work as natural hedging principle.
The human right risk can be minimized through experts for knowledge capital. For information infrastructure, the risk ranges are low. For transport, the airlift of goods mitigates the risk. China remains significantly exposed to the 2 natural disaster risks as well. This needs to be further analyzed as the actual location of the plant within the country can mitigate this. Finally, the political violence in Thailand will also need additional due diligence. We now red flag the high volatile risks affecting the selected 3 countries, but only the ones which has upside movement. The impact and measure of the risk mitigants will be in terms of supply chain efficiency, operational capabilities, and scalability. However, there may be some cost elements attached to finding the appropriate risk mitigants. Further cost-benefit analysis will be required to optimize the same. The positive impact in operations are seen in terms of cost, speed, volume, and delivery reliability, whereas impact on product variability and quality needs more analysis. All measures will be asymptotical to time. As a next step, additional due diligence as strategic fit must be reviewed. With regard to supply chain, site identification, cost analysis, local skill, and time-based learning curve remains relevant. The analysis also requires due diligence in CPA and graft. The strategic fit in terms of scalability of global integration model should also be pursued. As concluding remarks, we have identified key recommendations to follow for further analysis as described in this slide. Quality and measurement of transaction cost remains of particular importance here.